A shadowy figure slips through the fog-choked streets of 1920s London, clutching a blood-stained letter that could unravel an empire. Welcome to the Aristocrats' Pact, Poirot versus the secret society, where deception runs deeper than the Thames. Grab a cup of tea, take a seat, and let this tale of mystery grip you. If you're hooked, hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us. Chapter 1. The Crimson Invitation. The year is 1925, and London is a city of whispers. Gas lamps flicker, casting long shadows over cobblestone streets, and the air hums with secrets. Our story begins in the opulent study of Hercule Poirot, the world's greatest detective, whose little grey cells are about to face their toughest challenge yet. A single letter, sealed with crimson wax and marked with an unfamiliar crest, arrives at his doorstep. It's not just any letter, it's an invitation to a clandestine meeting at Ravenwood Manor, a sprawling estate owned by the enigmatic Lord Reginald Ashbourne. The letter hints at a secret society, one so powerful it could sway governments or topple kings. Poirot, ever curious, senses danger but cannot resist the pull of a mystery. For you, the viewer, this is where the game begins, a puzzle of motives, masks and murder. Let's set the scene. Poirot, with his impeccable moustache and razor-sharp mind, is no stranger to high society's underbelly. He's solved cases from Parisian theatres to Nile riverboats, but this invitation feels different. The crest on the letter belongs to no family he knows, and the words are cryptic. The pact awaits. Come alone, or the truth dies with you. Who sent it? Why him? These questions gnaw at Poirot as he prepares to leave his cosy flat. The letter mentions a gathering of aristocrats, a group calling themselves the Order of the Saffron Veil, rumoured to control wealth and power across Europe. But what do they want with a Belgian detective? Poirot's friend, Captain Hastings, urges caution, but Poirot's curiosity is a beast that cannot be tamed. He packs his finest suit, polishes his cane, and heads to Ravenwood Manor, unaware that he's stepping into a web of betrayal. Now, let's talk about Ravenwood itself, a character in its own right. Picture a Gothic estate nestled in the misty English countryside, its towers piercing the sky like accusatory fingers. The manor is a labyrinth of secret passages, dusty portraits, and locked rooms that whisper of forgotten scandals. As Poirot's car rolls up the gravel drive, he notices the windows glowing with an eerie amber light. The butler, a gaunt man named Grimshaw, greets him with a stare that could freeze blood. Inside, the air is thick with tension. The guests, 6 aristocrats, each more peculiar than the last, watch Poirot like hawks. There's Lady Beatrice, whose diamond necklace hides a coded message. Sir Malcolm, a retired general with a limp and a temper, and the young heiress Clara, whose nervous glances betray a secret. Each guest is a piece of the puzzle, and Poirot's job is to fit them together before someone turns up dead. Why does this matter to you, the viewer? Because this story isn't just about Poirot. It's about the thrill of unravelling a mystery alongside him. Think about the last time you tried to solve a puzzle, whether it was a crossword or a whodunit. That spark of satisfaction when the pieces click. That's what Poirot lives for, and you're invited to join him. As he mingles with the guests, he notices small details. A torn cufflink, a whispered argument, a glass of wine left untouched. These are clues, and Poirot teaches us that nothing is insignificant. For example, when Lady Beatrice adjusts her necklace, Poirot spots a tiny engraving, a saffron flower. It's the symbol of the secret society, and it confirms his suspicions. This gathering is no ordinary dinner party. The Order of the Saffron Veil is real, and their agenda is deadly. Let's pause for a practical tip. If you ever find yourself in a mysterious situation, say a cryptic email or an odd invitation, channel Poirot. Observe the details. Who sent it? What's their tone? And what's left unsaid? Write down your observations, just as Poirot mentally catalogues every glance and gesture. It's a simple trick that sharpens your instincts, whether you're solving a mystery or just navigating a tricky social event. Back at Ravenwood, Poirot's instincts are screaming. The dinner begins, and the tension is palpable. Sir Malcolm snaps at Clara, who spills her wine. Lord Ashbourne, the host, watches silently, his eyes gleaming with amusement. Then, as the clock strikes midnight, a scream pierces the air. Someone has been poisoned, and the game has turned deadly. This first chapter sets the stage for a battle of wits. Poirot is no longer just a guest. He's a detective in a den of wolves. The Crimson Invitation was a lure, and now he's trapped in Ravenwood with a killer. As we wrap up this chapter, picture Poirot standing over the body, his mind already racing to connect the dots. The Order of the Saffron Veil has made its move, but Poirot is ready to play. What secrets are hidden in the manor's walls? Who can he trust? The next chapter will plunge us deeper into the mystery, where a hidden room reveals a shocking truth. Stay tuned for the next twist in the Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 2. The Hidden Room. The air in Ravenwood Manor grows colder as Hercule Poirot kneels beside the lifeless body of Sir Malcolm, the retired general, sprawled across the dining room floor. His face is frozen in a grimace, a half-empty glass of wine tipped over beside him. The other guests stand frozen, their eyes darting between Poirot and the corpse. The scream that shattered the night still echoes in their ears. But Poirot's mind is already at work, slicing through the chaos like a scalpel. The poison, he deduces, was in the wine, but who poured it? And why Sir Malcolm? The answers lie somewhere in this gothic maze of a manor, and Poirot is determined to find them. For you, the viewer, the stakes just got higher. Ravenwood is a house of secrets, and one of them is about to be unlocked. Poirot rises, his sharp gaze sweeping the room. Lord Ashbourne, the host, orders the butler, Grimshaw, to seal the exits. No one leaves until the killer is found. Lady Beatrice clutches her necklace, her fingers trembling, while Clara, the young heiress, stifles a sob. The remaining guests, Professor Langston, a historian with ink-stained hands, Viscount Drayton, a smug financier, and Mrs. Evelyn, a widow draped in black, whisper nervously. Poirot notices their unease but says nothing. Instead, he requests a private moment with Lord Ashbourne, who leads him to a small parlour. There, behind a heavy oak bookshelf, Poirot's keen eye spots something unusual. A faint seam in the wood, barely visible in the dim light. A hidden door. Lord Ashbourne hesitates, his face pale, but Poirot's insistence is unrelenting. With a reluctant push, the bookshelf swings open, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. The hidden room below is a revelation. Lit by a single flickering chandelier, it's a shrine to the Order of the Saffron Veil. The walls are lined with ancient tapestries depicting hooded figures around a golden flame, their hands raised in some arcane ritual. A mahogany table dominates the center, covered with documents, maps, and a leather-bound book stamped with the saffron flower crest. Poirot's heart quickens. This is no mere social club. The Order is a machine of power, its tentacles reaching into parliaments and palaces. But what does Sir Malcolm's death have to do with it? Poirot flips through the book, finding names, dates, and coded messages. One entry catches his eye. The general's betrayal must be silenced. Could this refer to Sir Malcolm? Was he part of the Order or its enemy? As Poirot studies the documents, he hears a faint creak behind him. Lord Ashbourne stands at the doorway, his expression unreadable. Poirot senses he's being watched, not just by the host, but by the manor itself. The tapestries seem to shift in the shadows, their woven figures almost alive. Lord Ashbourne claims ignorance about the room's purpose, insisting it's a relic from his ancestors. But Poirot's little grey cells hum with doubt. The host's hands fidget, and his voice wavers when pressed about the order. Poirot decides to keep his suspicions quiet for now, but he memorizes a key detail from the book, a meeting scheduled for tonight, in a place called the Vault. He needs to find it before the killer strikes again. Back upstairs, the guests are restless. Clara paces near the fireplace, her eyes red from crying. Professor Langston mutters about ancient conspiracies, while Viscount Drayton demands to leave, claiming business in London. Mrs. Evelyn remains silent, her black veil hiding her expression. Poirot observes them all, noting how they avoid the dining room, where Sir Malcolm's body lies covered with a sheet. He questions Grimshaw, the butler, whose gaunt face betrays nothing. Grimshaw claims he served the wine but didn't pour it. Each guest filled their own glass from a decanter. A clever setup, Poirot thinks. The poison could have been slipped into Sir Malcolm's glass during a moment of distraction. But by whom? And where is this vault? Poirot slips away to explore the manor's west wing, guided by a hunch. The corridors are lined with portraits of stern-faced Ashbournes, their eyes following him. At the end of a hallway, he finds a locked iron door, its handle engraved with a tiny saffron flower. This must be the vault. Before he can investigate further, a shadow moves behind him. He turns, but no one's there. The manor feels alive, its secrets pressing in. Poirot decides to return to the guests, knowing the killer is among them. As he walks back, he hears a low whisper from a darkened alcove. Two voices, hushed and urgent. He can't make out the words, but one voice is Clara's. Who is she conspiring with? The chapter closes with Poirot back in the parlour, his mind racing. The hidden room has confirmed the Order's power. But Sir Malcolm's death is only the beginning. The vault holds the next clue, and Poirot must find a way inside before the meeting tonight. The guests are hiding more than fear. Each has a motive, a secret tied to the Order. As the clock ticks closer to midnight, the manor's walls seem to tighten, and Poirot knows he's running out of time. The next chapter will take us into the vault, where a betrayal from the past threatens to ignite a deadly confrontation. Stay with us as the mystery deepens in the Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 3. The Vault of Shadows. The iron door looms before Hercule Poirot, its saffron flower engraving glinting faintly in the candlelight of Ravenwood Manor's west wing. The air is heavy, thick with the scent of old stone and secrets. Poirot's fingers trace the cold metal, searching for a way to unlock the door to the vault, the clandestine meeting place of the Order of the Saffron Veil. He knows the clock is ticking, midnight approaches, and the mysterious meeting mentioned in the hidden room's ledger is imminent. The murder of Sir Malcolm lingers in his mind, a puzzle piece that doesn't yet fit. Was the general killed to protect the Order's secrets, or was his death a warning to someone else? For you, the viewer, the tension is palpable. Poirot is about to step into the heart of the conspiracy, and the truth is closer, yet more dangerous than ever. Poirot's sharp eyes catch a small irregularity in the door's frame, a concealed slot, barely wider than a hairpin. He retrieves a slender tool from his pocket, a relic from past investigations, and carefully probes the slot. A soft click echoes, and the door groans open, revealing a spiral staircase descending into darkness. The air grows colder as he steps down, his polished shoes tapping against the stone. The vault is no ordinary room. It's a cavernous chamber, its walls carved with intricate symbols of saffron flowers intertwined with serpents. Torches flicker, casting eerie shadows that dance like spectres. At the centre stands a circular stone table, etched with a map of Europe, its cities marked with tiny golden pins. Poirot's heart races. This is a war room, a place where power is plotted and lives are traded. The table is scattered with papers, some yellowed with age, others fresh with ink. Poirot sifts through them, his gloved hands moving with precision. One document stands out, a contract signed in blood, pledging loyalty to the Order. The names are coded, initials only, but one set, MT, is circled in red with a date from 10 years ago. Could this be Sir Malcolm? Another paper lists recent transactions, shipments of unmarked crates to Vienna, Istanbul, and a remote island off Scotland. Weapons, perhaps? Or something more sinister? Poirot's mind buzzes with possibilities, but a faint noise, a shuffle of footsteps, snaps him back. He extinguishes his candle and slips behind a tapestry, his breath steady despite the pounding of his heart. Two figures enter the vault, their voices low and tense. One is Clara, the young heiress, her voice trembling but defiant. The other is Viscount Drayton, his tone sharp and commanding. "You knew the risks, Clara," he hisses. "Malcolm was a liability. He was going to expose us." Clara's response is choked with emotion. "But I didn't want him dead." "You promised no one would get hurt." Poirot's ears prick up. Clara is involved, but how deeply? Is she a pawn or a player? Drayton's next words are chilling. "The Pact demands sacrifice. If you falter now, you'll join him." The conversation cuts off as footsteps approach from the staircase. Drayton pulls Clara into the shadows, and Poirot remains hidden, his mind cataloguing every word. The new arrival is Lord Ashbourne, his presence commanding even in the dim light. He carries a small brass key, which he uses to unlock a chest embedded in the wall. From it, he retrieves a velvet pouch, its contents clinking softly. Coins, or perhaps something more valuable. Ashbourne speaks, addressing the empty room as if sensing watchers. "The order will not be undone by one man's betrayal. The pact holds." He pauses, then adds, "The detective must not leave Ravenwood alive." Poirot's blood runs cold. The order knows he's a threat, and the vault is no longer a safe haven. He must act quickly, but the chest catches his eye. As Ashbourne exits, Poirot emerges and pries it open, revealing a collection of gold medallions, each engraved with a saffron flower and a single letter. One medallion, marked M, is tarnished, as if discarded. Sir Malcolm's, perhaps? Poirot pockets the medallion and scans the room for more clues. A hidden panel in the table reveals a ledger, its pages filled with dates and cryptic phrases. The crown falls, the veil rises, the debt is paid. One entry, dated tonight, reads, "The second must fall before dawn." A second murder. Poirot's mind races. Someone else is in danger, but who? The guests are all suspects, yet all potential victims. He thinks of Lady Beatrice's nervous glances, Professor Langston's cryptic mutterings, Mrs. Evelyn's veiled silence. Each could be a target or a killer. The sound of a distant bell jolts him. Midnight has struck, and the meeting is beginning somewhere in the manor. He must return to the guests before his absence is noticed. As he ascends the staircase, Poirot notices a faint trail of ash on the steps, leading to a smudged footprint. Someone else has been in the vault recently, someone careless. He memorizes the pattern of the sole. A man's shoe, size 10, with a distinctive worn heel. Back in the manor's main hall, the guests are gathered, their faces pale under the chandelier's glow. Clara avoids Poirot's gaze, while Drayton sips brandy with forced calm. Ashbourne announces that the storm outside has cut off the roads. No one can leave until morning. The news tightens the air, and Poirot senses the killer is watching, waiting for the next move. He slips the medallion into his pocket, its weight a reminder of the stakes. The chapter ends with Poirot standing among the guests, his eyes scanning their faces. The vault has revealed the order's reach, but the second murder looms like a storm cloud. The ash-covered footprint is a clue, but to whose shoe? And what does Clara know that makes her so afraid? The night is far from over, and Poirot's little grey cells are working overtime. The next chapter will plunge us into the midnight meeting, where a shocking revelation about the Order's true purpose will turn the game upside down. Stay tuned for the next twist in the Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 4. The Midnight Meeting. The grand clock in Ravenwood Manor's hall chimes midnight, its deep toll reverberating through the tense silence. Hercule Poirot stands among the guests, his sharp eyes flickering over their faces as the storm outside rages, rattling the windows. The revelation from the vault burns in his mind. The Order of the Saffron Veil is planning a second murder before dawn, and the cryptic medallion in his pocket feels heavier with each passing second. Lord Ashbourne, the host, calls the guests to the library, claiming it's time to discuss urgent matters. Poirot knows this is no ordinary gathering. It's the meeting hinted at in the vault's ledger, and the key to unravelling the Order's plans. For you, the viewer, the plot thickens as Poirot steps into a room where every word could be a clue, and every glance a betrayal. The library is a cavern of knowledge, its towering shelves stuffed with leather-bound tomes and forbidden secrets. A long oak table dominates the centre, lit by a chandelier that casts jagged shadows across the guests' faces. Lord Ashbourne takes his place at the head, his calm demeanour a mask Poirot longs to peel away. Clara sits rigid, her hands clasped tightly, while Viscount Drayton lounges with a smirk, as if daring someone to challenge him. Lady Beatrice adjusts her necklace, the saffron engraving catching the light, and Professor Langston scribbles notes on a scrap of paper, his eyes darting nervously. Mrs. Evelyn, shrouded in her black veil, is a silent enigma, her presence like a ghost at the table. Poirot takes a seat, his cane resting against his knee, ready to listen and observe. Lord Ashbourne begins, his voice smooth but edged with authority. "Tonight we honour the Pact," he says, his words heavy with meaning. He speaks of duty, legacy, and a greater purpose, but Poirot notices the vagueness. No details, no names. The guests nod, some eagerly, others with hesitation. Clara's eyes flicker to Drayton, who gives a subtle shake of his head. Poirot's mind races. Ashbourne is testing them, gauging loyalty. But loyalty to what? The detective interrupts, his tone polite but probing. "Pardon, monsieur, but what is this pact you speak of?" The room freezes, Ashbourne's smile tightens, and he deflects, claiming it's a family tradition. Poirot doesn't buy it. The Order's shadow looms too large. As the discussion continues, Poirot notices a small brass box on the table, engraved with the saffron flower. Ashbourne opens it, revealing a set of 6 keys, each unique. "These," he says, "unlock our future." He distributes them to the guests, but Poirot receives none. The detective's suspicions deepen. Each key must lead to something vital, perhaps tied to the vault's secrets. Clara fumbles with hers, nearly dropping it, while Drayton pockets his with a sly grin. Professor Langston examines his key closely, muttering about ancient locks, and Lady Beatrice tucks hers into her glove. Mrs. Evelyn, however, refuses hers, her voice low and firm. "I want no part of this." The room tenses, and Ashbourne's eyes narrow, but he says nothing. Poirot shifts the conversation, asking about Sir Malcolm's death. The guests bristle. Drayton claims it was a tragic accident, but Clara's sharp intake of breath betrays her. Poirot presses, mentioning the poisoned wine, and watches their reactions. Lady Beatrice's hand trembles, spilling her tea, while Langston's pen stops mid-scribe. Ashbourne cuts in, insisting the matter is under control, but Poirot senses fear beneath his composure. Then a loud crash echoes from above. A chandelier in the hall has fallen, shattering on the marble floor. The guests jump, and Poirot uses the distraction to slip the brass box into his coat. Whatever these keys unlock, he needs to know before the killer strikes again. While the guests rush to inspect the fallen chandelier, Poirot lingers, examining the library. Behind a curtain, he finds a portrait of a stern woman, her necklace identical to Lady Beatrice's. The plaque reads, "Lady Eleanor Ashbourne, 1875. A founder of the Order. The portrait's frame is loose, and Poirot pries it open, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside is a single page, torn from a journal describing a ritual called the Saffron Binding. It speaks of a blood oath, a vow to protect the Order at all costs, even murder. The page mentions a traitor who broke the pact, leading to a curse on Ravenwood. Was Sir Malcolm that traitor, or is another betrayal brewing? As Poirot pockets the page, he hears footsteps. It's Grimshaw, the butler, his gaunt face unreadable. "You shouldn't be here, sir," he says, his voice like gravel. Poirot smiles, deflecting with charm, but notes Grimshaw's shoes, size 10 with a worn heel, matching the footprint from the vault. The butler is more than he seems. Back in the hall, the guests are shaken, whispering about curses and omens. Clara pulls Poirot aside, her voice barely a whisper. "I didn't want this. They're planning something terrible." Before she can say more, Drayton appears, pulling her away. Poirot's mind churns. Clara knows something, but fear binds her tongue. The chapter closes with Poirot alone, the journal page and brass box hidden in his coat. The midnight meeting has exposed the Order's ritualistic heart, but the keys and the fallen chandelier hint at a larger scheme. Grimshaw's footprint ties him to the vault, and Clara's warning suggests a plot beyond murder. The storm outside howls, trapping everyone in Ravenwood, and the threat of a second death looms. The next chapter will follow Poirot as he tests one of the keys, leading to a discovery that could tear the Order apart. Stay with us for the next twist in the Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 5. The Key's Secret. The storm outside Ravenwood Manor rages on. Its howling winds a stark contrast to the stifling silence in the hall where Hercule Poirot stands. The brass box and journal page tucked safely in his coat. The fallen chandelier lies in a heap of crystal and iron, a grim reminder that danger lurks in every corner. The guests, still shaken, murmur about curses, but Poirot's mind is elsewhere, on the 6 keys distributed during the midnight meeting. Each one, he suspects, unlocks a piece of the Order of the Saffron Veils puzzle, and the medallion in his pocket, marked with an M, might be tied to Sir Malcolm's fate. For you, the viewer, the mystery deepens as Poirot takes a bold step, determined to test one of these keys and uncover the truth before the second murder strikes. Poirot slips away from the group, unnoticed as they argue over the chandelier's collapse. He heads to the east wing, where the manor's oldest rooms lie, guided by a hunch that the keys correspond to specific locks within Ravenwood. The corridor is dim, lit only by flickering sconces, and the air feels heavy with history. He examines the brass box, selecting the key that Clara fumbled with during the meeting. Its head is shaped like a tiny flame, distinct from the others. As he moves deeper into the wing, he passes a row of locked doors, each marked with a subtle carving: a serpent, a flame, a crown. The flame-carved door catches his eye, its symbol matching the key. With a steady hand, he inserts it, and the lock clicks open with a satisfying snap. The room beyond is a study frozen in time. Dust coats a mahogany desk, and shelves groan under the weight of ancient ledgers. A portrait of a man in military garb hangs crookedly, his stern face eerily familiar. Sir Malcolm, younger, with the same saffron medallion around his neck. Poirot's pulse quickens. This room was Malcolm's, a private sanctuary tied to the Order. He searches the desk, finding a bundle of letters tied with black ribbon. They're addressed to MT, the same initials from the vault's contract. The letters, written in a woman's hand, speak of regret and betrayal. "You broke the pact, Malcolm. The Order will never forgive you." The signature is simply E. Could this be Mrs. Evelyn, the veiled widow, or Lady Eleanor from the Fair Library's portrait? As Poirot reads, a hidden drawer in the desk springs open, revealing a small velvet pouch. Inside is a glass vial, its contents a faint amber liquid. Poison? He seals it carefully, knowing it could be the key to Sir Malcolm's death. The letters hint at a falling out. Malcolm tried to leave the Order, threatening to expose their plans. But what plans? Poirot finds a map tucked among the letters, showing a network of locations across Europe, each marked with a saffron flower. One location, a warehouse in London, is circled with the note, The shipment arrives at dawn. The second murder, Poirot realizes, might be tied to this shipment. Someone wants it stopped or protected at all costs. A sudden noise, a creak from the hallway, makes Poirot freeze. He slips the vial and map into his pocket and moves to the door, peering out. The corridor is empty, but a faint scent of lavender lingers, a perfume he associates with Lady Beatrice. Was she following him? Or is someone else stalking the manor's shadows? Poirot locks the door behind him and heads back, determined to confront Clara about her key. He finds her in the conservatory, staring at the rain-lashed glass. Her face is pale, her hands twisting the flame-shaped key. "Monsieur Poirot," she whispers, "I didn't know it would come to this. The key, it's a curse." Before he can press her, a loud thud echoes from upstairs, followed by a scream. The guests converge in the hall, where Professor Langston stands trembling, pointing to a shattered window. A heavy stone lies on the floor, wrapped in a note scrawled in red ink. The veil sees all. The message is clear. The Order is watching, and they know someone is digging too deep. Poirot studies the guests' faces. Drayton's jaw is tight. Ashbourne's eyes are cold, and Mrs. Evelyn's veil hides her reaction. Lady Beatrice, however, is absent. Poirot excuses himself, claiming to check the window, but instead follows the lavender scent to the upper floor. There, he finds Beatrice slipping into her room, her glove stained with red ink. A coincidence? Or is she the note's author? Poirot returns to the group, his mind piecing together the clues. The room, the letters, the vial, and the map point to a larger conspiracy. One Malcolm died for, and another may soon follow. Clara's. Fear and Beatrice's suspicious absence suggest they know more than they admit. The stone's message confirms the Order's reach, but the shipment at dawn looms as the next flashpoint. Poirot must act before the killer does. The chapter closes with him clutching the flame-shaped key, its weight a reminder of the secrets it unlocked, and the dangers yet to come. The next chapter will thrust Poirot into a confrontation with Lady Beatrice, where a lie unravels and a new suspect emerges. Stay tuned for the next twist in The Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 6. The Lady's Lie. The rain pounds Ravenwood Manor, its relentless drumming a backdrop to the growing dread in Hercule Poirot's mind. The stone wrapped in the cryptic note, "The veil sees all," lies heavy in his thoughts as he navigates the manor's shadowy corridors. The flame-shaped key, the vial of amber liquid, and the map from Sir Malcolm's hidden study are safely tucked away. But Lady Beatrice's red-stained glove and her sudden absence gnaw at him. The Order of the Saffron Veil is tightening its grip, and the threat of a second murder before dawn looms ever closer. For you, the viewer, the stakes are rising as Poirot prepares to confront Lady Beatrice, determined to unravel her role in this deadly game. Poirot finds Lady Beatrice in her room, seated at a vanity, her diamond necklace glinting under the lamplight. The faint scent of lavender fills the air, confirming his earlier suspicion. She startles at his knock, her eyes wide but quickly masked with a practiced smile. "Monsieur Poirot, to what do I owe this visit?" she asks, her voice smooth as silk. Poirot, ever courteous, steps inside, his cane tapping lightly on the floor. He wastes no time, producing the note from the shattered window and pointing to the red ink smudged on her glove. "Madame, this ink is most curious, non? Perhaps you can explain its presence." Her smile falters, and for a moment, her composure cracks like thin ice. Beatrice claims the stain is from a broken pen, but Poirot's sharp gaze catches a flicker of panic. He presses further, mentioning the saffron engraving on her necklace, identical to the Order's symbol. She laughs it off, calling it a family heirloom, but her fingers tremble as she adjusts the necklace. Poirot shifts tactics, asking about her whereabouts during the chandelier's fall and the stone's arrival. Her answers are vague. She was resting in her room alone. Yet the lavender scent in the east wing suggests otherwise. Poirot doesn't accuse her outright. Instead, he plants a seed of doubt, thanking her politely and leaving her visibly shaken. He knows she's hiding something, and he's determined to find out what. Downstairs, the guests are restless, gathered in the drawing room. Lord Ashbourne pours brandy, his calm demeanour a stark contrast to Clara's nervous pacing. Viscount Drayton watches her like a hawk, while Professor Langston mutters about historical conspiracies, his notes now a chaotic pile. Mrs. Evelyn remains silent, her veiled face unreadable. Poirot notices Grimshaw, the butler, lingering near the door, his size 10 shoes catching the detective's eye. The worn heel matches the vault's footprint, but Poirot keeps this to himself, filing it away for later. Instead, he focuses on Clara, pulling her aside near a bookcase. Her eyes are red, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're watching me," she says, glancing at Drayton. "The key. It opens something terrible." Before Clara can elaborate, a loud creak interrupts. A trapdoor in the drawing-room floor, hidden under a rug, swings open. The guests gasp, and Ashbourne's face hardens. He claims it's a wine cellar, but Poirot's instincts scream otherwise. He descends the narrow steps, followed by Drayton and Langston, who insist on joining him. The trapdoor leads to a damp tunnel, its walls slick with moss and etched with faint saffron symbols. At its end is a heavy oak door, locked tight. Poirot tries Clara's flame-shaped key, but it doesn't fit. Langston, clutching his own key, a serpent-shaped one, steps forward, his hands shaking. The lock clicks, and the door opens to reveal a small chamber, its air thick with the smell of iron. Inside, a single table holds a chilling sight. A ceremonial dagger, its blade stained with dried blood, and a list of names, some crossed out. Sir Malcolm's name is among them, slashed in red. Another name, CV, is circled with the word next. Clara's initials. Poirot's mind races. Clara could be the second target, or perhaps it's someone else. Drayton's eyes linger on the dagger, his smirk gone. While Langston mutters about sacrificial rites, Poirot pockets the list, noting a faint watermark on the paper, a London address matching the map's warehouse. The shipment at dawn is no coincidence. It's tied to this ritual, and the Order is desperate to protect it. As they return to the drawing room, Poirot catches Beatrice watching from the stairs, her glove now clean. She avoids his gaze, slipping away. He decides to follow, trailing her to a greenhouse at the manor's edge. There, hidden among the ferns, he overhears her whispering to Grimshaw. The detective's too close. The shipment must go through. Grimshaw nods, his expression cold. Poirot retreats before they spot him, his suspicions confirmed. Beatrice is deep in the Order's web, and Grimshaw is no mere butler. The chapter closes with Poirot back in the drawing room, the list of names burning in his pocket. Clara's fear, Beatrice's lie, and the bloody dagger point to a ritualistic killing, and the dawn shipment is the key. The next chapter will see Poirot race against time to protect a target, as a betrayal in the Order's ranks sparks chaos. Stay tuned for the next twist in the Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 7. The Traitor's Gambit. The storm's fury batters Ravenwood Manor, its howling winds masking the tension that coils tighter among the guests. Hercule Poirot stands in the drawing room, the list of names from the tunnel's chamber hidden in his coat, the initials CV and the word next etched in his mind. Clara's fear, Lady Beatrice's whispered plot with Grimshaw, and the bloody dagger point to a ritualistic murder tied to the mysterious dawn shipment. The Order of the Saffron Veil is unravelling, and Poirot senses a traitor in their ranks, someone working against the group, or perhaps for their own gain. For you, the viewer, the clock is ticking as Poirot races to protect a potential victim and expose the betrayal before the manor claims another life. Poirot's eyes scan the room. Clara sits by the fire, her flame-shaped key clutched tightly, her face pale as she avoids Viscount Drayton's gaze. Lord Ashbourne pours another round of brandy, his movements deliberate, while Professor Langston scribbles furiously, his notes now a tangle of symbols. Mrs. Evelyn, her veil impenetrable, watches silently from a corner. Grimshaw hovers near the door, his worn-heeled shoes a silent accusation in Poirot's mind. The detective decides to act, approaching Clara with a gentle smile. "Mademoiselle, a word, if you please," he says, guiding her to a quiet alcove. There she confesses in a trembling whisper. The key opens a safe in the attic. It holds documents. "They'll kill me if I tell." Poirot nods, urging her to stay close to him for safety. Before he can press further, a sharp cry cuts through the room. Lady Beatrice stumbles in, her face ashen, clutching a torn letter. "It was in my room," she gasps, handing it to Ashbourne. The letter, written in the same red ink as the stone's note, reads, "The traitor will burn with the veil." The guests erupt in whispers. Someone among them is marked, just as Sir Malcolm was. Poirot takes the letter, noting its jagged tear, as if ripped from a larger page. He suspects it's a distraction, but from what? He catches Drayton's smirk, fleeting but unmistakable, and wonders if the Viscount is orchestrating chaos to cover his tracks. Poirot decides to follow Clara's lead, slipping upstairs to the attic while the guests argue over the letter. The attic is a maze of crates and cobwebs, lit by a single lantern. He finds a heavy safe tucked behind a cracked mirror, its lock engraved with a flame. Clara's key fits perfectly, and the safe creaks open, revealing a stack of documents bound in black leather. They detail the Order's operations, bribes to foreign officials, coded messages to operatives, and plans for the dawn shipment. A crate of artifacts bound for the London warehouse. One document stands out, naming CV as Clara Vanderbilt, an heiress coerced into the Order to fund their schemes. Her name is marked for termination if she wavers. Poirot's heart sinks. Clara is the second target, and her fear is justified. A sudden shadow moves behind him. Poirot spins, cane raised, to find Mrs. Evelyn, her veil lifted to reveal sharp, calculating eyes. "You're meddling in things you don't understand, monsieur," she says, her voice low. She admits to writing the letters to Sir Malcolm, signing them E for Evelyn, not Eleanor. She was his confidant, urging him to leave the Order, but he paid the price. "They'll kill Clara next," she warns, "unless the traitor is stopped." Before Poirot can ask more, a crash echoes below, followed by shouts. They rush downstairs to find the drawing room in disarray. Drayton lies on the floor, a gash on his temple, and Professor Langston stands over him, holding a candlestick. Langston claims Drayton attacked him, but the Viscount, groggy, accuses Langston of being the traitor. The guests are divided, and Ashbourne demands order, his authority fraying. Poirot examines the scene, noting a torn cufflink near Drayton's hand, engraved with a serpent, the symbol of Langston's key. Was Drayton trying to steal it, or was Langston planting evidence? Grimshaw steps forward, offering to fetch a doctor, but Poirot stops him, recalling the butler's role in Beatrice's plot. Instead, he questions Drayton, who admits to overhearing Clara's confession about the attic safe. "I wanted the documents," Drayton snarls, to end this madness. But his eyes betray greed. Not heroism. Poirot pieces together the traitor's gambit. Someone is sabotaging the Order from within, using the murders to destabilize it. Clara's documents reveal the shipment's true nature, artifacts tied to a ritual that could cement the Order's power. The traitor wants them for themselves, or to destroy them. As the guests retreat to their rooms, Poirot keeps Clara close, promising protection. But a faint creak from the attic above sets his nerves on edge. Someone else knows about the safe. The chapter closes with Poirot clutching the documents, the storm's roar drowning out his racing thoughts. The traitor's identity is closer than ever, but a deadly trap awaits in the next chapter, where Poirot must face the Order's wrath. Stay tuned for the next twist in the Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 8. The Trap in the Dark. The storm outside Ravenwood Manor howls like a beast, its gusts shaking the ancient walls as Hercule Poirot stands guard over Clara in the drawing room. The documents from the attic safe, detailing the Order of the Saffron Veil's sinister plans, are hidden beneath his coat, their weight a constant reminder of the danger closing in. Clara's name marked for termination, Viscount Drayton's attack, and the torn cufflink point to a traitor sowing chaos within the Order. The dawn shipment looms, and with it, the threat of a second murder. For you, the viewer, the manor feels like a tightening noose as Poirot prepares to outwit a killer, only to find himself walking into a trap. Poirot's sharp eyes dart to the shadows, the creak from the attic still echoing in his mind. He urges Clara to stay near the fire, where the other guests, Lord Ashbourne, Lady Beatrice, Professor Langston, Mrs. Evelyn, and a recovering Drayton, are gathered, their faces etched with suspicion. Grimshaw, the butler, moves silently, his worn-heeled shoes a clue Poirot can't ignore. The detective decides to act, slipping away under the pretense of checking the manor's locks. His true destination is the attic, where the creak suggested an intruder. He takes the serpent-shaped key, stolen from Drayton during the chaos, suspecting it unlocks another secret tied to the Order. The attic is darker now, the lantern's glow barely cutting through the gloom. Poirot moves cautiously, his cane tapping softly. Near the safe, he finds fresh scratches on the floor, as if something heavy was dragged. Following the marks, he discovers a hidden panel behind a crate, its lock matching the serpent key. The panel opens to a narrow passage, its walls damp and carved with ancient runes. The air grows colder, and a faint hum, like distant chanting, reaches his ears. Poirot follows the passage, emerging in a circular chamber deep beneath the manor, its walls adorned with saffron flowers painted in gold. A stone altar stands at the centre, stained with dark, ominous streaks. This, he realizes, is the heart of the Order's rituals. On the altar lies a single object, a black velvet cloth covering a small, ornate box. Poirot lifts the cloth, revealing a lock etched with a serpent. The key fits, and inside he finds a crystal orb, its surface swirling with faint amber light. It pulses faintly, almost alive, and Poirot feels a chill. Could this be one of the artifacts for the dawn shipment? Before he can examine it further, a shadow moves behind him. He turns, but too late. A heavy blow strikes his shoulder, sending him to his knees. The orb rolls across the floor, and a hooded figure snatches it, their face obscured. "You should have stayed in London, detective," a muffled voice sneers before they vanish into a side tunnel. Poirot struggles to his feet, his shoulder throbbing, but his resolve unbroken. He retrieves the orb, its glow dimmer now, and notices a folded note left behind. The pact ends tonight. The handwriting matches the red-inked threats, but the tone suggests the traitor, not the Order. Poirot hurries back to the drawing room, the orb hidden in his coat. The guests are on edge. Clara clutches her key. Drayton nurses his wound, and Beatrice's eyes flick nervously to Grimshaw. Ashbourne announces that the storm has severed the telephone lines, trapping them further. Poirot studies Langston, whose hands are stained with fresh ink, and Mrs. Evelyn, whose veil can't hide her clenched fists. The traitor is among them, and the orb is the key to their plan. Determined to protect Clara, Poirot questions her about the shipment. She whispers that the artifacts are keys to power, meant to sway governments through fear. The orb, she thinks, is one of them, tied to the ritual described in the journal page. Before she can say more, the lights flicker and die, plunging the room into darkness. A scream pierces the air. Mrs. Evelyn's. When the lights return, She's slumped in her chair, a dagger in her chest, identical to the one from the tunnel. The guests panic, but Poirot notices something crucial. The dagger's handle is clean, but a smear of red ink stains Evelyn's sleeve. Was she the traitor or another victim? Poirot calms the room, his voice steady despite the chaos. He examines Evelyn's body, finding a hidden pocket in her veil containing a crumpled note. The orb must not leave Ravenwood. The pieces are falling into place. The traitor wants the orb, and Evelyn's death was meant to stop them. But who struck the blow? Grimshaw's shoes are clean, but Langston's ink-stained hands and Beatrice's earlier lies make them prime suspects. The chapter closes with Poirot clutching the orb, its faint glow illuminating his determined face. The traitor's trap has failed, but the dawn is hours away, and the shipment's secret could spark a final, deadly showdown. The next chapter will see Poirot unmask a key player as the Order's true purpose comes to light. Stay tuned for the next twist in the Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 9. The Unmasking. The air in Ravenwood Manor is thick with fear. The storm's relentless roar, a grim echo of the chaos within. Hercule Poirot stands over Mrs. Evelyn's body, the dagger in her chest a stark reminder of the Order of the Saffron Veil's deadly reach. The crystal orb, pulsing faintly in his coat, holds secrets tied to the Dawn shipment, and the note in Evelyn's pocket, "The orb must not leave Ravenwood," suggests she was either a guardian or a threat to the traitor's plans. The guests, Lord Ashbourne, Lady Beatrice, Clara, Viscount Drayton, Professor Langston, and the ever-watchful Grimshaw, are frozen, their eyes darting with suspicion. For you, the viewer, the mystery is at its peak as Poirot prepares to unmask a key player, racing against time to stop the Order before another life is lost. Poirot's mind churns, his little grey cells piecing together the clues. The red-inked threats, the serpent cufflink, Grimshaw's footprint, and the orb's eerie glow. He gathers the guests in the drawing room, his voice calm but commanding. "Mes amis, the killer is among us, and their mask will fall tonight." He begins with Lady Beatrice, confronting her about the red ink on her glove and her whispered plot with Grimshaw. She stammers, claiming the ink was a mistake, but her eyes betray guilt. Poirot shifts to Grimshaw, pointing out the worn-heeled shoes matching the vault's footprint. The butler's face hardens, but he denies nothing, his silence louder than words. The guests murmur, tension crackling like the fire in the hearth. Poirot produces the orb, its amber light casting shadows across the room. "This," he declares, "is what the Order protects, and what the traitor seeks." Clara gasps, her hands trembling, while Drayton's smirk fades. Langston, clutching his notes, mutters about ancient relics, but Poirot cuts him off, revealing the documents from the attic safe. They name Clara as a target, but also hint at a deeper betrayal. Someone within the Order sabotaging their ritual for personal gain. Poirot's gaze lands on Drayton, whose attack in the tunnel and greed for the documents mark him as a suspect. "Monsieur Drayton, you sought the safe's secrets. Why?" Drayton scoffs, claiming he wanted to destroy the Order, but his twitching fingers suggest otherwise. The detective turns to the note found with Evelyn's body. Its handwriting matches the red-inked threats, but Poirot notices a subtle flourish absent in earlier notes. He recalls Langston's ink-stained hands and chaotic notes, filled with symbols mimicking the Order's runes. "Professor," Poirot says sharply, "your pen betrays you." Langston pales, dropping his notebook, which spills open to reveal a sketch of the orb and a list of buyers, names tied to rival factions. The professor, it seems, planned to steal the orb and sell it, undermining the Order for profit. The guests gasp, but Langston lunges for the door, only to be stopped by Grimshaw, who blocks the exit with unnatural speed. Langston's confession spills out under Poirot's relentless questioning. He admits to planting the red-inked notes to sow chaos, hoping to distract the Order while he secured the orb. But he denies killing Sir Malcolm or Mrs. Evelyn, insisting the dagger was the Order's work. Poirot's eyes narrow. Langston's betrayal explains the notes, but not the murders. He turns to Lord Ashbourne, whose calm facade has cracked, his hands clenched. Monsieur, you spoke of the Pact's purpose, yet you hide its truth. Ashbourne hesitates, then admits the orb is part of a ritual to bind the Order's allies, a relic of immense influence. Evelyn, he reveals, was a loyalist who tried to protect it, but her death was a message to the traitor and to Poirot. A sudden crash interrupts the confrontation. A window shatters, and a gust of wind scatters papers across the room. Clara screams, pointing to a figure outside, a hooded silhouette holding a crossbow. Before anyone can react, an arrow flies, grazing Drayton's arm. The figure vanishes into the storm, and the guests panic. Poirot, unfazed, examines the arrow, finding a tiny saffron flower etched on its shaft. The Order has eyes outside the manor, and they're closing in. He orders Grimshaw to secure the windows, but the butler's glance at Beatrice raises Poirot's suspicions. Are they still plotting together, or is Grimshaw loyal to Ashbourne? Poirot pulls Clara aside, urging her to reveal the ritual's details. She whispers that the orb, when activated at dawn, can bind souls to the Order's will, a power sought by kings and criminals alike. The shipment, she says, is a decoy. The real ritual happens here in Ravenwood. The chapter closes with Poirot clutching the orb. Langston's betrayal exposed, but the killer still at large. The hooded figure's attack signals the Order's desperation, and dawn is mere hours away. The next chapter will thrust Poirot into a final confrontation, where the Order's ritual begins and the true murderer is revealed. Stay tuned for the climactic twist in the Aristocrats' Pact. Chapter 10. The Veil Falls. The storm over Ravenwood Manor rages with unrelenting fury, its thunderclaps shaking the walls as Hercule Poirot stands in the drawing room, the crystal orb's faint amber glow pulsing in his hand. The unmasking of Professor Langston as the traitor who planted the red-inked notes has cracked the Order of the Saffron Veil's facade, but the murders of Sir Malcolm and Mrs. Evelyn remain unsolved, and the hooded figure's crossbow attack signals a final, desperate move. Clara's revelation that the orb binds souls to the Order's will and the true ritual is set for dawn in Ravenwood has raised the stakes to a fever pitch. The guests, Lord Ashbourne, Lady Beatrice, Clara, Viscount Drayton, and the silent butler Grimshaw, are gathered, their faces taut with fear and suspicion. For you, the viewer, this is the moment of truth, where Poirot's little grey cells unravel every secret, expose the killer, and bring the Order to its knees. If you've been gripped by this tale, grab a cup of tea, take a seat, and join us for the final act. If you've enjoyed the Aristocrats' Pact, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Your support means the world to us. Poirot steps to the centre of the room, his voice steady, commanding silence. Mes amis, the Order of the Saffron Veil has woven a web of lies, but tonight it unravels. He holds up the orb, its light casting eerie shadows. This relic is no mere artifact, it is power meant to bind the will of nations at dawn. But murder has stained its purpose, and the killer stands among us. The guests freeze, their eyes locked on him. Poirot begins with the clues. The poisoned wine that killed Sir Malcolm, the dagger in Mrs. Evelyn's chest, the red-inked notes, the serpent cufflink, Grimshaw's footprint, and the documents revealing Clara as a target. Each piece, he explains, points to a calculated plan, not just to protect the Order, but to control it. He turns to Lord Ashbourne, whose calm has vanished, replaced by a tense scowl. Monsieur, you led the Order, but you hid its true aim, to use the orb's ritual to sway Europe's leaders. Sir Malcolm, your former ally, threatened to expose you, non? Ashbourne's jaw tightens, but he nods, admitting Malcolm's betrayal. He wanted out, Ashbourne says, and he paid the price. Poirot's eyes narrow. But you did not kill him. The poison was too subtle for your bold hand. He shifts to Lady Beatrice, her lavender scent and red-inked glove still fresh in his mind. Madame, you plotted with Grimshaw, oui? You knew of the shipment, the orb, the ritual. Yet your fear betrays you. You are no killer, but a pawn. Beatrice breaks, tears streaming. I had no choice, she sobs. Grimshaw forced me to help, to watch the others. I wrote no notes, I swear. Poirot nods, turning to Grimshaw, whose gaunt face is a mask of defiance. Monsieur Grimshaw, your shoes betray you in the vault, and your whispers with Madame Beatrice seal your role. But you are more than a butler, no? You are the order's enforcer. Grimshaw's eyes flash, but he remains silent. Poirot produces the bloody dagger from the tunnel, its blade matching Evelyn's wound. This is your work, is it not? Grimshaw smirks, finally speaking. Evelyn was loyal to a fault. She'd have died for the orb, so I made it quick. The guests gasp, but Poirot presses on, his gaze now on Drayton, whose bandaged arm and earlier greed mark him as a player. Monsieur Drayton, you sought the documents to seize the orb's power for yourself, oui? But you lacked the cunning to kill. Drayton snarls, admitting he wanted the orb to sell, not to serve the order. Poirot's attention shifts to Clara, trembling by the fire. Mademoiselle, you were marked for death, yet you live. Why? Clara's voice cracks. I funded them, but I wanted out, like Malcolm. They needed me alive until the ritual. Poirot nods, the final piece clicking into place. The true killer, he declares, is not one, but two, working in tandem. He points to Grimshaw and Ashbourne. Lord Ashbourne, you ordered Sir Malcolm's death to silence his betrayal, and Grimshaw executed it with the poisoned wine. Mrs. Evelyn, loyal to you, became a threat when she suspected the traitor, Langston. So Grimshaw struck again, using the dagger to frame the professor's chaos. Poirot reveals the torn cufflink, found near Drayton, but planted by Grimshaw to sow confusion. Langston's notes, he explains, were a distraction, but the butler's footprint and Beatrice's coerced aid tied the murders to the order's core. Ashbourne lunges, but Poirot is ready, tripping him with his cane. Grimshaw draws a knife, but Clara, summoning courage, hurls a candlestick, knocking him down. The guests restrain them as Poirot unveils the orb's final secret. Its ritual, set for dawn, would bind the Order's allies through fear, using the artifacts to manipulate minds. The shipment was a decoy to draw attention from Ravenwood. Poirot smashes the orb, its light fading, breaking the Order's power. As dawn breaks, the storm clears, and the authorities, summoned by a servant Poirot quietly alerted, arrive to arrest Ashbourne and Grimshaw. The chapter closes with Poirot in the hall, the guests safe but shaken. Clara, free from the Order's grip, thanks him, while Beatrice vows to atone. Drayton and Langston, chastened, slink away. The manor's secrets are laid bare, the Order shattered. Poirot adjusts his moustache, his work done. The truth, he says to you, the viewer, is a light that no veil can hide. The next adventure awaits. But for now, if this tale thrilled you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps these mysteries alive. This is the end of the Aristocrats' Pact, but Poirot's little grey cells will return.